Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our program, Africa Today. Preparations have been underway in Tunis, Tunisia, for holding the 17th session of the Egyptian-Tunisian Joint Higher Committee. This comes in line with Egypt's vision to strengthen regional economic and technical development partnerships. More details in the following story.
Preparations are underway in Tunisia for holding the 17th session of the Egyptian-Tunisian Joint High Committee. This comes in line with Egypt's vision to strengthen regional economic and technical development partnerships. The Egyptian-Tunisian Joint High Committee falls under a government vision that emphasizes win-win economic and technical cooperation between both countries. The committee's agenda covers cooperation in a variety of priority issues, including technical and cooperation in trade, petroleum, energy, higher education, health, housing, finance, and transportation. The meetings concluded on Tuesday before preparatory meetings at the ministerial level take place next week. The Joint High Committee will be headed by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Najla Boudin, Prime Minister of Tunisia. The Egyptian-Tunisian Joint High Committee held 16 sessions headed by the Prime Ministers of the two countries and is known to be one of the oldest joint Arab committees.
The foreign ministers of Egypt and Morocco issued a joint statement on the talks held by Minister Sameh Shoukry and his Moroccan counterpart Nasser Bourita in Rabat. Shoukry underscored Egypt's stance on the territorial integrity of Morocco and its commitment to the United Nations Security Council resolutions on the Sahara issue.
Minister Nasser Bourita said on Monday that Morocco supports Egypt in all measures it takes to protect its security and stability. The remarks came in a press conference with Minister of Affairs Sameh Shoukry in Rabat. Moroccan FM Bourita offered his condolences over the death of 11 Egyptian military personnel in a terrorist attack in Sinai on Saturday. He also stressed that the two countries share identical viewpoints on various issues. For his part, Shoukry affirmed Egypt's determination to revitalize mechanism of political consultation, the Joint Economic Committee and the Business Forum, which he said will strengthen Egypt-Moroccan relations. Shoukry also added that he agreed with his Moroccan counterpart on promoting cultural relations within a specific time frame. The top diplomat noted that the meeting was an opportunity to discuss all issues of mutual interest, including those related to the African continent, the Sahel and Sahara region. Shoukry and Bourita also inaugurated on Monday in Rabat the new Egyptian embassy in Morocco.
Welcome back. To shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Bayoumi, good afternoon to you, sir. Ambassador Bayoumi?
Yes, I hear you.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry met his Moroccan counterpart in Rabat. How have you followed the encounter and the press conference that followed the top diplomats meeting?
With all pleasure, because Morocco is a very important partner in our Arab foreign policy and our foreign policy in general. And we are together in many dimensions of the foreign policy. Members of the Arab League, members of the Islamic Conference, members in the Euro-Mediterranean process. And now we establish a free trade area, which we call it Agadir Declaration. Agadir is a city in Morocco since a decade, which the members are Jordan, Egypt, Tunisia, and Morocco. Now we have free trade area, and we want our business community to realize that the custom duties are zero between all these countries. Also, with Morocco, we have a long history in education. We have a long history in Al-Azhar al-Sharif. You know that we have what we call in Al-Azhar Ruwa al-Maghariba. It means a chair of a certain kind of Al-Azhar education. We have a long history together. And I think the future is also much more ambitious. So here I see the importance of Sameh Shoukry in Morocco to continue discussions and consultations. And what we are seeing now, I put here as a priority the situation in Libya. Libya is very important for both of us. And we are on a point that we hope that the Libyan will discover soon that they have to come for one united country in Libya without going to sort of division between one party and the other.
Yes.
I think that we have a lot to discuss with Morocco.
Yes.
We are discussing also the issue of the gas in the Mediterranean, the issue of what is going in Syria, in Lebanon, in Sudan, in Somalia, Iraq. And then of course, we have a lot of direct interest. The bilateral relation is going quite well.
Yes. Sir, what are actually the shared interests between Cairo and Rabat, whether on the political or economic fronts?
I think we maintain the same position and the same policies for many issues.
Yes.
Since I would take you to the time of Gamal Abdel Nasser, you were not born yet, when we have witnessed the very special relation between Gamal Abdel Nasser and the late King Mohammed al-Khamis, where they established what we call the Casablanca Group. It was Egypt and Morocco and some African countries.
Yes.
Since then, we share a lot of interest in Africa also. I used, when I served in Africa, to have very close consultation with our my friends, Moroccan ambassadors.
Yes.
So let us hope that we have many items on the agenda in order to deepen it and widen it in our relations with Morocco.
Yes, indeed. Sir, how would you define the long relations between Egypt and Morocco, and would you please shed light on Egypt's support to Morocco's territorial unity?
This is a very important issue, especially in the African Union.
Yes.
And Egypt is playing here a positive role in order to bring all the countries in this area, whether it is Mauritania, the Sahara Republic, or Algeria, because there is a sort of different conflicted interests between those countries. Egypt is a very acceptable face, and every single country of those who are sharing this conflict, they believe in us. So I think we have a good chance in order to play a good role, in order to settle down all these differences and come back with a unified Arab front and a unified African front also.
Indeed. Actually, also Egypt has reiterated its support to the United Nations-led effort to settle the Western Sahara issue. Would you please elaborate on the decades-old conflict in the Western Sahara region?
As I said, there are many parties sharing this conflict, and we want to bring all of them on the negotiating table in order to realize that nothing can be solved through force.
Yes.
But the dialogue, as you see, that Sameh Shukri is there. I hope also he has a very good contact with his counterpart in Algeria or in Mauritania. Then we can bring all of them to solve this problem, because it's a little bit complicated. I don't want to elaborate here. Yes. And I hope that with good intention and good effort, we can solve it at the end of the day.
Yes. Where do the UN-led efforts stand now, and what are the proposed solutions to end the conflict there, and especially in Gorgerat region?
Democracy is the answer for all of this. Let us come to the ballot and have a sort of elections, or ask the people there, what do you want your country to be? Totally independent country or a part of Mauritania or a part of
Yes.
Morocco or whatever.
Yes.
So the dialogue should continue. The process of democracy can help us.
Yes, of course. Mr. Ambassador, on the other front, how do you view the bilateral trade and economic relations? What are the main areas of cooperation, and how can such relations be enhanced and taken to another level between both Cairo and Marrakesh?
I can call it very good relations, but it is yet, I want to be honest here, it's not yet covering our ambitions. We are much more ambitious, and I think it did not reach all our possibilities, and it can be much better.
Yes.
That's why I am happy to see our minister there. I hope that we can see a
Yes.
sort of businessmen meetings in order to see another and more areas where we can cooperate. We cooperate in many things.
Yes.
If you look around you in Cairo streets, you will find cars made in Morocco.
Yes.
French cars made in Morocco.
Yes.
We import it and we exempt it from custom duties.
Yes.
We have a good cooperation in the textile and garments field also.
Yes.
In agriculture, we have a very good cooperation. So many areas, and still I think that we can do much more and much better.
Yes, indeed. Do we need more cooperation to take place between Cairo and Rabat?
Certainly. But I hope that Sameh Shukri has enough time and his colleagues also have enough time, because this man doesn't sleep in his house.
Yes,
many nights.
indeed, yes.
he's traveling all the time.
Yes.
Let me tell something fine.
Yes.
I was in his office a couple of years ago,
Yes.
and the director of his office was calling him in the airport, and he said, "Don't leave the airport because your next trip will start 1 hour to come."
Yes,
So
yes.
he's always traveling, and this is, of course,
Indeed,
one
and
part of
we
the
can
Minister
actually
for Affairs,
feel that on the
thought.
ground, indeed. Yes, sir, the two ministers also talked about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam dispute in Ethiopia. What's your take on Rabat's support to Egypt on that issue in particular?
Do you keep a secret?
Yes, please.
Can I say a secret? I think that we have all the time to win this battle.
Yes.
I think that if we close our eyes for the coming 5 or 10 years,
Yeah.
this problem will solve itself by itself. Why? Where Ethiopia will send this water? Ethiopia doesn't use the Blue Nile water for irrigation.
Yes.
They depend totally on rain,
Yes.
like in the case in some European countries.
Yes.
The dam is at the very high north point of Ethiopia, and the water doesn't go to the south.
Yes.
So wait a little, the water will come. They do not have any way to use this water except to use it to generate electricity.
Yes.
And to generate electricity, it means that you have to pass the water through the dam.
Yes.
In my honest opinion here, that this is a political problem, and the internal situation of Ethiopia is a negative element here.
Yeah.
That's why you realize immediately that our government is very calm and using very calm negotiations.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think, of course, a very important country in the African Union like Morocco will be a good support, because the African Union is supporting our point of view, of course.
Indeed. Finally, Ambassador Bayoumi, Morocco is leading an active role actually in trying to settle the Libyan conflict. What are your thoughts on this, and has Morocco proved to be a good mediator to the Libyan conflict?
All the main African countries can do this job, because the Libyan needs a guarantor for any agreement they come to. They need a guarantor to make sure that whoever will be elected will be ruling, whoever will not be elected will be sharing the responsibility for ruling their country.
Yes.
It is a matter of convincing the Libyans that coming to elections and the democratic process will be much better than continue as tribes or parties.
Yes. Indeed, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Always a pleasure, sir, to listen to your very precious input. Thank you very much for being with us today. And our dear viewers, before we end our episode, let's have a look at this feature from Cape Verde about the ancient museum of shipwreck. More details in the following story.
The Shipwreck Museum on the islands of Verde in Cape Verde has reopened 2 years after the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. Here, the history of humanity is told from the period of the discoveries, slavery, isolation, survival, historical drought, and the Creole culture. The Castewang Museum in Sahara, which opened in 2019, is the result of the work of 2 decades by an Italian archaeologist. The condition of the Casteway is not a thing of the past, it's a condition that anyone can still experience. The museum was built with materials found on the island, and the permanent exhibition displays the anthropological culture of the Cape Verde archipelago. Hundreds of objects are exhibited here, as such finds from the wreck of historical ships of Port Vista, pieces from the period of the pirate attacks to the island, or from the sending of slaves to the Americans, and also from the Cape Verdean art and its evolution during the encounters of cultures.
Well, with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of Africa Today, brought to you live here from our studios on Nile TV International. Till next week with another group. Thank you very much for joining us, and stay tuned on Nile TV International.